Shit, I done been through way worse times. Shit, I done been through way worse times, and it'll be alright.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the first episode of NAP, Not Another Podcast. I'm your host, Rodney Weather. I'm super excited for you to be here. It's been a long time coming. If you're familiar or been following me at all, you know I was outside. I was putting most of the posts, outside of the car, while working on the job, sitting in rush hour traffic. That's where the inspiration came from. And a couple prayers, a little bit of hard work, and just timing and consistency. Here we are. First thing I want to do is give a shout out to my cameraman, Shane. I have no idea how hard, this guy works to be able to help me provide, such quality content to you. Because again, that's what we're here for. We're here to provide a service. We're here to provide just a connection, to help you be comfortable with who you are. That is really the main goal in NAP, is to help you become the best version of yourself for yourself. As we continue to grow with the show, you'll see that we growing. I was telling my cameraman off camera, no pun, that my goal is to not ever try to come off as if I got it all figured out, by any means. I had a post with saying perfect, but I don't want to come off as if I'm better than anybody or that I'm not going through the same things. The goal of this show is to grow together. It's about being honest about who you are, versus who you really want to be. I think we all face that challenge every single day. You might be doing something, but you want to be doing something else. You might be somewhere, but you want to be somewhere else. You might be with somebody, but you want to be with somebody else. I'm here to challenge that perspective. I'm here to challenge you to do and be who you really want to be. So if you work in a job and you really don't like it and you want to get into photography, when I say quit the job, I don't mean it. Again, I'm speaking to you as an everyday entrepreneur as well. So I mean, make sense about your next move. So if you want to get into photography, get into photography. Start with your iPhone, buy you a camera from Best Buy, whatever the case may be, start taking steps towards that. That's how I got here. Shit, if we ended it now, that's the whole goal. Mission accomplished. That's the only way you're going to get to the next level or that next point that you want to get to. You got to put in the work. You got to make the sacrifices, and whatever that is. For me, I wanted to do podcasting. But again, as an everyday entrepreneur, I have an e-commerce store. I work real estate. I paint, different things of that nature. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to help yourself build yourself into, the best version of yourself. But it comes, like I said, it comes with sacrifice, and it comes with just being patient with yourself. That's just one whole rant. But the topic of today is really to touch on narcissism. I was going to come in a little bit more slick, but the title of this topic today is You're Supposed to Be Narcissistic. And before you skip to your next, your next podcast or the next reel, just hear me out, because again, my goal is to always challenge, the narratives that we just get comfortable with, but really don't have much knowledge or information on. And so, for the life of me, since I've heard the word narcissistic or narcissism, it was always painted in a negative light. If you were narcissistic, you're this evil, selfish, only focused on me type of person. And again, naturally, not even knowing, and when you hear it, you can understand where it comes from. Usually it stems from a negative place. Usually most people are arguing. There's usually a lot of negative symptoms, surrounding the word. But my goal, and again, I've been called it myself, but my goal was to try to find the net positive to what the true meaning of the word, is. And what blew my mind really was just all you got to do is a little bit of research. Most of the people that throw this word around, it's thrown with shame, guilt, or some type of insult, about a person, in a negative light. And so, and usually the people who throw that word around, they don't know what the word means either. Don't just agree just because Joe Schmo said this or that. Do your own research. Look it up for yourself and make sure that that's something that you actually have knowledge of. And that's why, you can actually think and speak for yourself versus just going through the motions. And so I did some digging, and shout out to Dr. Tracy Adams. She's a Black clinical psychologist. If you go to her page on YouTube, she has tons and tons of research, psychological research that backs and supports, the notions or that supports the content I'm getting ready to share with you. The first thing that she did was define narcissism. And narcissism, by definition, is love of self. I just want that to kind of settle in for my listeners or for my naysayers, because we just know that you ain't really doing nothing if you don't have any naysayers. So I'm challenging that narrative as well. It's love of self. In a world that is continuously pushing self-love, focus on yourself. Why is narcissism such a bad word? And again, it's just a question to challenge, our own psyche. But again, narcissism is defined as love of self. The Greek origin of the word came from a character by the name of Narcissus, I believe. And I believe he was the one of the greatest and most handsome warriors of all time. And he ended up seeing a reflection of himself in the water. He was thirsty at some point, so he ended up coming to a lake and was getting ready to drink some water, and he caught wave of his own reflection. And the story is that he fell so in love with how he looked and himself that he died of dehydration because he never took a drink of water. Now, to me, that's really hilarious, but at the same time, there's a lot to unpack there. And so, and then it also can almost show you why there can be a negative light behind it. No, I don't agree with my man. He should have, made sure he got the water that he needed. So I can easily point out the negative aspect. And I think that's what everybody can do. It's so easy to just point out what's wrong with this person here. He's a narcissist, and then just throw narcissistic on him. It's so easy to do that. But what's hard, like I said, is looking up, doing the research and finding out. Because I had to dig. I had to actually, because as soon as I type in narcissistic, they will flood you with what is the surface level. You'll see it, all this, that, and the third. I've seen tons and tons of reels. This is how you deal with a narcissistic. If the narcissistic says this, then you need to say this. And again, it just baffled me that it's only seen as a negative light. So I can easily see why my man died. He didn't even take a drink of water. So I can see being too caught up into yourself is not a good thing. So I want to make sure that I'm clearing that up as well. So it's not about being so caught up into yourself that you're not, looking out for the next person or looking out for your neighbor. It's about at least loving yourself enough, to where you can extend love to somebody else. I've heard it all the time. How can you love somebody else if you don't love yourself? I mean, so for me, I'm really just trying to, like I said, help you, help me, help us all get to that point of understanding. Because I think if we understand each other more, understand these terms that we're just using and throwing around, we won't just throw them out. You won't just call somebody something, without having full understanding, because like I said, your words are powerful. So I think this is just the beginning of us, again, having better understanding of the words that we use and then placing them, appropriately. So again, that was Narcissus. There's the point of narcissism as well is several phases. So I'm gonna get y'all. We might end up needing a part 2. It just depends, on how far we get into this. But it's phases to this. And mind you, I'm just now finding this stuff out too. All I did was type in narcissism, define narcissism, things of that nature. I went to YouTube and stuff like that. But all it takes is a little bit of research, and your mind will be blown at how much information there is out there. And so I think that's the only way to become intelligent. You know what I mean? And so other than that, you talking out your ass. And so for me, this is the best part. I believe, I've been given the gift of gab already. And whenever I do research, it gives me more and more confidence to provide the information that's necessary for you, and for us to just be the best version of ourselves. So it's the same thing. Like I said, it's several phases to narcissism. And it's basically a spectrum of healthy narcissism, which I'm promoting. I'll always promote, all the way to pathological. pathological narcissism. And in between you have pathological, or in between you have narcissistic injury or abuse, narcissistic vulnerability, narcissistic personality disorder, and malignant narcissism. And again, it's a spectrum. So it just depends on where you may line up on the spectrum of narcissism. So it requires you to dig a little bit deeper and to just be, like I said, be honest with yourself. You know what? Maybe I am on a pathological, spectrum. Maybe I am thinking too much of myself and not enough, of somebody else. And all it takes is that, a self-awareness and the changing of the mind that'll help you change different traits that, got you there. And so I think it's very important to understand where we are on the spectrum. Just because I'm promoting healthy narcissism doesn't mean that I'm the healthiest narcissist. But that also doesn't mean that I'm just this pathological narcissist that cares about nobody, or their souls. I believe that I'm challenging that by putting out this content, working with the people that I'm working with and doing the things that I'm doing. And I believe that's how you can contribute positively to society, you know what I mean, and give back to your community. So at the end of the day, narcissism is a psychological construct used to explain or define human character or behavior. So like I said, it's just a way for us to better understand ourselves, and the people around us. It's neither good nor bad. Being honest with yourself, like I said, it's not good nor bad, right or wrong. It's life, yo. That's all it's about. Like, we're here to learn these things about ourselves. We're here to learn these things about one another, so we can, if you healthy, cool, be able to pass that along. I can't remember all the time. Like I tell myself, I'm inspired. I'm one of them beautiful motherfuckers. When you get on that, like sometimes, we'll think, it is. No, but it is. And I've been just trying to voice not just my opinion, but the fact that I'm inspired, the fact that, I'm appreciative of someone going out of their way, to do something for me. So let me make sure I meet them halfway. Let me make sure that I'm, or when the time's right, I can reciprocate the same type of love. So I believe everything is tied in hand to hand. But like I said, narcissism isn't neither good or bad. So it's not something that you need to walk around with this patch on and saying, oh yeah, I'm the best narcissist, or feeling down because you made a mistake, due to that reality. You know what I mean? There's no point of beating yourself up, and there's no point of trying to think too highly of yourself, when it comes to these types of situations. The biggest point is to just be careful, you know what I'm saying? About how you label people, you know what I'm saying? The words that we use to describe one another, just because we disagree or you don't like how I'm saying or like the shirt that I'm wearing or whatever, my lifestyle, that doesn't give anybody the right to just start to judge one another. We need more love. That's just the reality. But what Dr. Tracy Adams also touched on was that healthy narcissism is supposed to start at a young age. You're supposed to be given a freedom, a healthy freedom and opportunity from your parents when you're growing up during childhood to make mistakes, to express your feelings, and your emotions in a safe space, that will allow you to learn how to express yourself. I got 3 daughters. And so constantly all the time I have to, I love giving them freedom to climb on my back, to climb on any fucking thing at this point. But I like giving them that freedom to express themselves, play. Even I remember Jordan Peterson saying, allow your children to do dangerous things carefully. When I first heard that shit blew my mind. I'm like, because I was already naturally doing that. And so it said sometimes, when people see you allowing your kids to do certain things that are quote unquote dangerous, they'll look at you funny. So I've had those looks, at times, and I'm like, oh, they're fine, because I'm truly giving my daughter the opportunity to just live her life. I'm trusting her to make the right decision or to be careful. That's the most thing that I ever say to him. Hey, just be careful about what you're doing, because I don't want her to fall. I don't want her to get hurt. but I want her to be able to be free to, know, because at the end of the day, I know she's going to. So for me, just like bringing up the narcissism, I believe it's all connected because I fail. I got plenty bruises and cuts, and that didn't come from anyone pushing me or my parents pushing me to do something that I didn't want to do. It just came from life. And those were some of the biggest lessons that I learned, that, damn, man, I need to slow down because I scraped my knee, or the stove is too hot. We know all of these different things that we do, that we learn from. And at the end of the day, believe it or not, it comes from pain. If I haven't touched on it specifically, but this podcast it's not just for men. I know I'm a young black male, but like I said, I'm here for you. And that you could be a young white girl just watching because, it came across your timeline, but you may find yourself in the same narcissistic, area. You may have been called a narcissist. This isn't just for males. This isn't just for women or kids. This is for you, for whoever needs to hear this, whoever needs or struggling in this specific area. I was joking with my brother the other day, or really it was today. I was joking with him before I left. I said, after this show, after being given this information, when someone calls you a narcissist, you'll take it as a compliment, because you'll now have better understanding, not just of yourself, but of that person just calling you something. Like they must not have watched Nap. They must not have watched not another podcast, because they're calling me something, and you could tell. That's what gives you a little bit more intelligence, not necessarily over that person, but over yourself to make that better decision. And when that person sees how you respond and you say, thanks, I appreciate that, do you not know that's gonna throw them? I'm like, what? I just called them something negative, and they're smiling. That is the point. It's not about tit for tat, or, fighting fire with fire. It's about being a fucking fire extinguisher, bro. Like, every day I work on a job, like I said, I paint. So I got to move a fire extinguisher, in these apartments, the things that I'm doing. And it's the same. I get that same message every single time. Like, everybody always wants to fight back. But I'm really realizing, just as I'm growing, that sometimes, like I said, just giving somebody that kind answer, looking and saying, look, that make me feel some type of way. I need to get my space, walk away. I'm a huge, huge believer on knowing how to walk away. If you really know me, your cutoff game has to be crucial, because if it's not, you'll find yourself struggling and not really knowing why, because you're allowing people to treat you less than, the way you need to be treated. And that's no one else's fault but yours. And so, like I said, we're going to bring that honesty here every single time. We're not going to sugarcoat around anything. If someone's disrespecting you or someone's taking you for granted, it's your fault, and I'm not saying that to be harsh or crude by any means. I'm saying it so that way, you can have enough awareness and that, no, I don't have to accept that. I don't have to allow that. I can. And that's where healthy narcissism is: knowing your boundaries, knowing your standards, knowing what you'll accept, knowing what you won't accept, and that has nothing to do with anybody else. And you'll come across genuine people that have their own boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's platonic relationships or just basic friendships, with your boys, or with the opposite sex, you know what I'm saying? With your girlfriend, with your wives. When you really start to set up healthy boundaries for yourself, you'll begin to notice that. You'll begin to notice healthy boundaries that other people may have set in their lives. And that's what makes for genuine conversations. That's what makes for these genuine relationships. I cannot tell you how many. I want to first by saying it's so refreshing to just come across genuine people. It's because, like I said, you spend all day, having to kind of mask yourself, or, I wouldn't say put on a facade, but professionally we can't be as comfortable as we are professionally that we would be personally. There's plenty of things that we do personally that we won't do on the job. And so I think it's so refreshing when you can actually come across genuine people, man, whether it's on a job site or, or by random, or wherever you seem to be, to to build those types of connections. And then as you continue to build connections, you find out who that person is, what they've been through, and why they have the boundaries that they have, when they set them up. I think, like I said, I was just asking the same. It's just good. That's the only way to truly get to know somebody. And so the biggest key is that narcissism is essential. It's so essential to our growth and your own growth, to knowing who you are. And so let me make sure I find them. What was that? Yeah. my three healthy narcissistic tips. The first one is to stop lying, yo. Stop fucking lying. I can't explain how I don't want to say how lying or how terrible lying is how terrible or what it does to you. There's an article, like I said, and I'm going to try to put the links in the description as well, or in the comments. There's an article that I found that truth is good for your health. And so just telling the truth, lying less actually improves your mental and physical health. So again, the basis of this show is all about mental health, mental awareness, because at the end of the day, we know that's what's most important. Your health and your mentality, your mindset is the most important thing. Bottom line, just bar none. So when I found out that just telling the truth, being honest, affects your mental health positively, I personally, like I said, I try to be as honest as I can, but I know little white lies. Hey, I'm running late, like all those different things, or I'm running behind. Oh man, I don't really feel like going. No, just tell them, I don't feel like going. That is more freeing than trying to, make your friend or think you making your friend feel good because you going out. Nah, you know what? I went out last week, or I don't feel like drinking. I don't feel like smoking. Whenever I'm smoking a BZ or something like that, and I'm around one of my homies who just not smoking or nothing, I've never been the person to say, oh no, you need to smoke, you need this. I always respected people's decisions, man, that's why it goes back to the boundaries. It don't necessarily mean, he on my, my homie's on papers or something. Like sometimes cats I just don't want to smoke. I want to be a little bit more focused this week. I want to, be a little bit more sober, or vigilant. And I salute that while I'm firing up. So it's cool because my day might be next week. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not a very big drinker. You know what I mean? So when I go out with my homies, they'll have the Modelo's, this, that, and the third. I'm be cool. I'm the type of motherfucker who will just get a Modelo or a drink just to look cool. Like that's me. You know what I mean? That's Rodney. So I want to be myself. Why would I not want, any and everybody else around me to be themselves? That's the whole goal, not just for this podcast. My goal in life mission is for everybody to enjoy and be comfortable with being themselves. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I made a life out of it, and it got me here. You know what I mean? It's going to get me, even further because I really believe, in that the same way what caused me to look up this type of information. I believe is so important. And again, just take it with a grain of salt. Don't run and say, oh, Rodney said I could be narcissistic. No, I'm not. You're going to have to watch. Don't take one clip, one reel, and then try to define the whole thing. Sit back, it's just like food, you know what I mean? Just ingest it, keep an open heart, keep an open mind. And that's usually what I like to try to start the show with. But just keep an open heart and mind to the things that we talk about or that I'm talking about, and try it out. I cannot tell you how many times, man, that when I see somebody do some cool ass shit, I try that shit out. Like, you see what I got on, hats or whatever, I see, damn, that shit look cool. Let me try it out. But you know what I'm saying? And again, take everything with a grain of salt. You still want to be yourself, but you gotta try it out. So again, it's just try. If look it up. That's what I want you to do, because, and again, I'll have the links in the description, but I want you to look these things up, because it's one thing to hear somebody else talk about it, but it's another for you to look it up yourself and read it, because unless you do, shit, I could be lying. This could all be bullshit. You know what I mean? I could just be saying a bunch of stuff just to get more followers. I know that's not the case, but the point is, everybody should do their own research. I had a college professor that always said that. Always do your own research. Don't ever let somebody just feed a bunch of information to you. And then unfortunately, that's the type of society that we're in, where they say this is this, then you just go along with it. And so I don't think that any of us should be left to think in that way. Think for yourself, research for yourself. That way, you have better understanding. But yeah, stop lying. It's so huge. The next tip is to speak up for yourself. Very huge. I used to think me speaking up was a bad thing because, like I said, most people, I got a lot of negative reactions for speaking up. A person would have a convo with me. I tell people all the time, especially like, look, if you don't want shit to get brought up, and it's not like I don't share dirty secrets. I ain't trying to put it out there like that. But if I'm having a natural conversation with you, I'm usually I got a podcast. So Rodney has a podcast now. So if you don't want Rodney airing out a story or an experience that he had with you, don't talk to me about it. And that doesn't mean, like I said, I'm not out here trying to air everybody's dirty laundry by no means, but that's just how natural and honest and open I am, and that's what led me here, to this podcast and just trying to put that message out. And so speaking up for yourself is so huge when it comes to the different things that you're going through. If somebody is, smacking their lips or eating their food a little bit too loud and that's aggravating you, it don't mean you just knock the food out the hand. You say, hey man, can you like slow, could you pipe down a little bit? It's kind of bothering me a little bit. Like, believe it or not, people, they might not show it or they might not even say it, but people have to respect somebody that's speaking up for themselves, because it takes a lot. Believe it or not, a lot of people are afraid to speak up for themselves. Funny story, when I was little, my brothers, they'll join me. That's why I try to just join them myself, because like I said, when you the youngest, you gonna get joined on whether you like it or not. But the biggest thing my brothers would make fun of me was when we go to McDonald's. Who doesn't go to McDonald's? When I was little, I would want more ketchup. And as soon as I asked for more ketchup, if there wasn't at the table, they say, go up front. Parents say, go up front, ask for ketchup. As soon as they would say that, I would say, I would just be quiet. I would just say, whatever, never mind. I guess I'm not getting any ketchup. And that was funny to my brother because, he's scared to go ask for ketchup. And so it wasn't funny at the time. But again, at some point, eventually I said, man, bump that. I'm going up there and I'm asking for ketchup. I literally, as a kid, this is stuff that I was doing as a kid. Man, I got to step up. I got to speak up. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where it starts. So if you still afraid to speak up now, it doesn't always got to be trauma. But sometimes that type of stuff does stem from a long time ago or from, when you're an actual kid. But that doesn't mean you have to stay in that place. So speaking up start, in a little area. So if for instance, you get to work and somebody keeps parking in your parking spot, man, or, or moving your food, just speak up and say, man, do you mind not parking there anymore? It affects, the time between me getting into the office or whatever. This is how we better interact versus keeping it all tucked in, or bottled up. And then when somebody says something to you, you snap or you blow up. That's chaos, yo. And it just doesn't work because, and then you say, man, and then the first thing you do is, man, I've been ready to say something to you. You should have said something to him. And the chances of, you blowing up or y'all getting into it would have been very less likely. So I think speaking up is huge when it comes to, your confidence, and you establishing healthy relationships with the people around you. And the third final tip is get a haircut. And it's crazy. I've been wearing my hat the whole time, but getting a haircut is huge to your mental health. I gotta go to this one, y'all, because this one is crazy. Like there's articles. To me, that's what's crazy to me. Like there are thousands of articles on how or the positive results of just getting a haircut consistently. And mind you, I'm one of them guys, I don't get my haircut consistently, but I damn sure know whenever I do, I enjoy it because I have a personal relationship with my barber. I get the haircut for the low. And again, it's fresh. You feel good. You look good. That haircut is so essential. And again, haircut, hairdo, ladies, you know what I'm saying? It really don't matter. Like, hell, if anything, ladies already know what it is. They be in the beauty shop all the time. But the point is, like I said, fellas, get a haircut. Establish a healthy routine with your barber. If you don't have one, get you one. It's barbers, healthy barbers all over the city. Whenever I can't get in contact or schedule with my barber, all I do is Google it. And I've made relationships and networked with at least 3 or 4 other barbers, top tier barbers, man. Them cats got the trimming my eyebrows and everything. And I'm like, damn, I never noticed that unless I, branched out, you know what I mean? And got kind of outside of my comfort zone. Cause like I said, my barber's the truth. He get me straight for the low. Shout out to Diallo, Diallo Thomas, the barber 74. But he'll get you right. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. I want to make sure, like I said, that everybody knows, like I said, the goal when I get on here every time is to motivate, is to inspire, motivate, and encourage. I know that was a lot to unpack. And so I just wanted to give a general recap, on what we went over. But we just covered narcissism. We covered the net positive to narcissism and it being truly a psychological spectrum. So it's not just one word that you should just be trying to throw out to somebody. Hopefully that I really hope that you take the information in and use it wisely. So like I said, I hopefully, if you watch this video, you don't just start throwing the word narcissism around, anymore so negatively, with judgment behind it. I hope that you maybe think twice, about what you're about to say, and who you're about to say it to, and maybe just have a little bit more consideration, towards someone you might be having a disagreement with, or someone who very well might have hurt you. Or, I've hurt people, and I hope that the people that I've hurt forgive me just as much as the people that have hurt me I've forgiven, because I don't think that it's healthy for any of our mental to hold on to that type of pain. I believe, these things are to happen for us to turn over a new leaf, and use it to kind of guide us to peace, So to me, and I'm going to be asking that question a lot when I have different guests or, different people on the show, is just, what is mental health to you? To me, it's just peace of mind. And I believe it's priceless. I believe there's no dollar amount that can equate to peace of mind. And my challenge, or my goal for myself is that. And it's the same for you as well. So like I said, I hope that this will help you on your journey to peace, you know what I mean? And it'll allow you to, like I said, just be a little bit more understanding and a little bit more knowledgeable. All right, just to wrap things up and give you an overview of what we just talked about, we defined narcissism being love of self. We talked about how it's a spectrum. So just the word itself is not something that you should just throw around willy-nilly. It's a spectrum in between healthy narcissism, pathological narcissism, and so on and so forth. Gives you a little bit more understanding, of the word, and of the psychological term itself. And we went over 3 tips to have a healthy narcissistic, lifestyle, which is to 1, stop lying, 2, speak up for yourself, and 3, get a haircut, or ladies, get your hair done. So appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you keeping an open mind and an open heart to the conversation. Until next time, I'm out.
Shit, I done been through way worse times, and it'll be alright. Be right, sometimes I'm wrong though. Steady trying to talk to God like E.T. trying to phone home. It's gonna be a lonely road. We heard that before. My Bible by my bed while my pistol under the pillow.